Welcome to the Brass and Woodwind Shop. In Introduction to Stuck Slides, there's a continuum of how stuck a slide can be. Some of them you just pull a little bit harder and it will come loose. Others you have to pull a little harder than that and it will come loose. And then beyond that you need to get out some other tools and pull a little harder, use some leverage. And then beyond that you have to start unsoldering things and really getting into it. The main thing when you're getting a slide unstuck is watch for things to happen. Watch for braces that might be under a little too much tension, getting ready to break. And if that's the case, then just stop what you're doing and you have to try something else. And also, if you're not careful, one problem can lead to another. You can push some slide tubes into the casing just a little bit and then that causes valve problems. So just keep an eye out for that and just be careful. And if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. Now let someone else do it for you. But if you're willing to try, most people can do this. Also, if you can find a few junk instruments laying around with stuck tuning slides, practice on those first, get a feel for the metal. Brass is a very soft metal, so it helps if you know how much energy to put into it and when to stop. And when to stop is the big thing. So if you can find some junk instruments with some stuck tuning slides, give it a try, and if you make a mistake, just chalk it up as a learning experience. I guess it's like a cheap education. And if you need some practice instruments, most music stores are more than happy to sell you some of their junk instruments with stuck slides. And you can pick them up pretty cheap. It also helps to know why your slides are stuck. And the most common reason why is because of lime or calcium buildup. What happens is when you play it, a little bit of saliva and stuff gets in there. And then the water evaporates and then it leaves the whatever else isn't water behind, which is usually calcium. And it gets into the slides, and then after the course of time, that happens enough times, your slide's going to be stuck. Here's an example of a slide that was stuck and it had a lot of calcium buildup on it. The way you can tell calcium buildup is it's usually whitish colored, maybe has a little bit of a green hue to it. I would guess that that's the reason for probably about 80% of the stuck slides out there. The next most common is slide grease or maybe something else that someone put on there hardening. And usually that happens on very old instruments that have been in cases for many, many years, and then you pull it out and the slides are stuck. That's probably going to be the problem then. The next most common problem is dents in the tuning slide, either the inner or outer tuning sides. Here's an older cornet that I have that has that problem. You can see right there, there's a dent right in the slide, and then that pushes into the other side and that can cause it to get stuck. Another reason for stuck slides, it's rare but it does happen, is soldering mistakes. Sometimes people solder, they might use a little too much heat or solder goes in the wrong place and before you know it you have a slide that is soldered shut. And those are usually pretty easy to diagnose because you can see solder where it's not supposed to be. Another problem is very rare but it can happen is if you put a slide in either backwards or maybe from a different instrument. Sometimes those you put them in and then you have a hard time getting them out. That's very rare and you probably won't see that happen very often. There are also multiple problems, and those can be some of the hardest ones. Sometimes you might have lime buildup along with solder that's in the wrong place, and those ones can be hard. The quickest and easiest way to diagnose it is look for dents and also look for solder that might be going into the slide. If neither of those are the case, then it's probably lime buildup or hardened tuning slide grease. The repair for the lime buildup and the tuning slide grease problems are pretty much the same repair, so just treat them the same way. There may also be other problems too. If you can come up with any, just leave it in the comments below. Also, the repair of a tuning slide depends upon which tuning slide is stuck. If it's the main tuning slide with a larger crook, or one of the valve tuning slides with the smaller crooks. Or if it's a trombone main tuning slide. There are a lot of similarities between these instruments, but there are also some differences too. And if at all possible, find a junk instrument to practice on first. That way if you do any damage, it won't really matter. And also, it will give you more confidence. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video has been helpful for you.